Here are the answers to Chapter 2 for the Pre-Algebra Final Review. For number 1, we are going to simplify the expressions by using the distributive property and then combining like terms. So for number 1, we distribute the 7 to the 3y and get 21y. 7 times negative 4 is negative 28, and then plus 8x. None of those are like terms, so the answer would simply be 21y minus 28 plus 8x, and of course you could have that in a different order, but that is the answer. For number 2, students often forget that that little negative sign there is actually a negative 1, and so you do need to distribute the negative 1 to the 2y and the negative 7. So negative 1 times 2y is negative 2y. Negative 1 times negative 7 is a positive 7. And then plus the 5y. Don't forget about the 11 out front. And then combine like terms. 11 plus 7 is 18. And then negative 2y plus 5y is plus 3y. Of course, you could have that in the other order as well. 3y plus 18 is the same as 18 plus 3y due to the commutative property. For number 3, we have 2 sets of distributive property to complete. Don't forget to watch out for those negative signs. 4 times 3x is 12x. 4 times 7 is 28. 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. And 6 times negative 1/2 x is minus 3x. 12x minus 3x is 9x. And 28 minus 6 is a positive 22. Make sure that you understand each of those steps and pause the video or rewatch it to make sure that you got all of those components for those first 3 problems. For questions 4 through 8, we're going to solve the equation because these ones actually have equal signs or inequality signs. So when we're solving equations or inequalities, we have to do the same thing to both sides of the equal sign or inequality sign. Before you can do that, it's best to combine like terms. So for number 4, 5b minus 4b is 1b, plus 2 equals 22, minus 2 from both sides, and you get b equals 20. For number 5, we need to distribute the 5 to the w and the 8, so we get 5w plus 40 equals negative 3w plus 16. Now you can either add 3w to both sides or subtract 5w from both sides. Either way, it's fine. I'm going to add 3w to both sides and get 8w plus 40 equals 16, minus 40 minus 40, and I get 8w equals 16 minus 40, which is a negative 24. So negative 24 divided by 8 leaves us with w equals negative 3. So w equals negative 3. For number 6, we have to distribute the negative 2 and the negative 5 before we can do anything else. So we have negative 6y plus 4. Don't forget, a negative times a negative is a positive. And we have negative 5y plus 10. And again, we can either add 6y to both sides or add 5y to both sides. I'm going to add 6y to both sides. And I'm going to get 4 equals 1y plus 10 minus 10 from both sides, and we get y equals negative 6. Or negative 6 equals y is fine. On number 12, we have to treat this just as a regular equation, and then we can deal with that inequality sign at the end. I'm going to start by subtracting 12 from both sides, and I get negative 4x is greater than 8. and then divide by -4 on both sides. And let's just say you forgot the rule about switching the inequality sign when you divide by a negative, and you just said that x is greater than -2. Well, think about that for a second. Let's say 0. 0 is greater than -2, and that's what you're saying here is any number greater than -2 will make this original inequality true. So let's just test 0 up here. What's 4 times 0? 0. And then what you're left with then, if that 4x is gone, is that 12 minus 0 is 12. But 12 is not greater than 20. That is why the numbers greater than -2 are not solutions. That's why you have to flip that around and change it to less than. Let's just pick a number less than -2 and check. So we have -4 is less than -2. So let me put -4 up here. -4 times -4 is a positive 16, so 12 plus 16 is 28, and 28 is greater than 20. So the rule to flip the sign when you divide by a negative is not just some made-up rule. It's something you want to make sure and remember that there is a reasoning behind it, that you flip that sign, because otherwise the values that you pick are not solutions. So number 7 is x is less than -2. For number 8, we have some decimals here. There's a couple different strategies you could do here. You could multiply everything by 10 and get rid of all of the decimals, but this one doesn't come out to be too bad because they're all halves, 0.5. So 3.5c plus 1.5c is 5c. And then we have plus 4.5 is less than or equal to -10.5. And then when we minus 4.5 from both sides, don't forget that when you have two negatives, you're actually adding them together and keeping the negative sign. So it's like saying you owe me $10.50, then you borrow another $4.50, so now you owe me $15. So we have 5c is less than or equal to -15. This one we do not have to flip the sign because we're only dividing by a positive 5. C is less than or equal to -3. C is less than or equal to -3 for number 8. For numbers 9 through 14, we're writing an expression or an inequality. Just remember to keep track of those words and know what each of them means. For number 9, twice a number, 2x, and then minus 4, 2x minus 4. Number 10, a number, x, is at most 6, so it can't be more than 6. It has to be less than or equal to 6. For number 11, 5 times the sum of something. Well, times comes before adding in PEMDAS, so we have to make sure and put 8 and y in parentheses, and then take 5 times that. So 5 parentheses 8 plus y. The quotient of 4 and m means a division problem, so 4 and m can be written like that with a fraction line to show the division. And the maximum weight is 500 pounds. That means you have to be less than or equal to 500 pounds. That comes into play when you're crossing bridges or maybe going under underpasses. There's limits to where you can go. So you have to be less than or equal to, in this case, the 500 pounds. And number 14, no more than 15 people. There's lots of occupancy rules when it comes to places or venues or elevators even. And so we have no more than 15 people, so less than or equal to 15. Finally, number 15, we have an equation with perimeter, and so we have 2x here, which means that this is also 2x, and we have x plus 4 here, which means that this is also x plus 4. There's a couple of different ways you could write the equation, but here's one way. 2x plus 2x plus x plus 4 plus x plus 4. That's 2 widths and 2 lengths. So altogether we have 2, 4, 5, 6 x's, and we have 4 plus 4, which is 8, and we're equaling that, or setting it equal to 68 for the perimeter. And if we solve that equation by minusing 8, we get 6x equals 60, which means that x is equal to 10. And if we substitute that in for x in both our width and our length, we get the length as being 10 plus 4, which is 14 centimeters. And the length, whoops, I had that backwards. The length is 14 centimeters, and the width is 2 times 10, which is 20 centimeters.